charge of Interior and Coordination of National Administration, in consultation with the President of the Republic and the Public Service Commission, have the power to establish national government administrative units and appoint administrative officers to serve under those units. The move of this motion further notes that, recalling that Article 10, subsection 2b of the Constitution binds state organs and state officers to uphold human dignity, which includes remuneration for work done. And noting that the village elders have existed for many years and interacting with wananchi, the citizens, at the lowest level, hence their recognition is in public interest and their remuneration has been long overdue. The mover will be seeking the House to urge the national government through the Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Administration to establish all existing villages as administrative units in accordance with Section 14 of the National Government Coordination Act number 1 of 2013. They'll also be seeking the national government through the Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Administration to recruit and remunerate the existing village elders as administrative officers. And this particular motion is a resumption of debate that was interrupted on Wednesday, the 26th of October, the year 2022. Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Moses Wetangula, is in the House at this moment. He will be presiding over this afternoon sitting that is brought to you by the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit in conjunction with Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. I will now hand you over for this live broadcast. My name is Kamche Menza. Good afternoon.
Waheshimiwa na tuombe. Ewe Mwenyezi Mungu, ambaye kwa hekima na wema wako umeteua nyadhifa za viongozi na mabunge kwa ustawi wa jamii na utawala wa haki za wanadamu. Twakusihi ututazame kwa neema nyingi sisi watumishi wako ambao wameridhika kutuita ili tutekeleze shughuli muhimu za jamhuri yetu. Twakuomba uteremshie baraka zako sisi tuliokutanika hapa na utujalie tuyatende na kufikiria mambo yote yatakayofikishwa mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili utukufu na sifa zako ziendelezwe na ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya hii nchi yetu na wale ambao haja zao wamezikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amen. Honorable members, we have quorum to transact business. Clerk.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
There is none.
Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Majority Leader.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Thursday, October 27th, 2022. Legal notice number 191 of 2022 relating to the energy as petroleum pricing revocation regulations 2022 and the explanatory memorandum. Legal notice number 192 of 2022 relating to the petroleum pricing regulations 2022 and the explanatory memorandum. And 3, Legal Notice number 174 of 2022 relating to the Merchant Shipping Seafarers Kenyan Seafarers Identity Documents Regulation 2022 and the explanatory memorandum. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
The Honourable Member for Dagoretti South.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I beg to give a notice of motion. Mr. Speaker, this is a motion on the empowerment of artisans by the government, and specifically the NGCDF. And Mr. Speaker, aware that there are many talents among the youth of this country, and noting that these talents have been severally displayed through various interventions and also innovations by artisans in platforms such as the annual Youth Innovation Week and profiled on social media and traditional media, concerned that most of these innovations and artworks do not go beyond making sensational stories in their localities, local dailies, and social media mentions, noting that most of these innovations and artworks are crucial in ideas promotion, intellectual development, and at creating employment and addressing the problems that affect us as Kenyans on a daily basis, concerned that there is inadequate support and administrative measures to support the artisans, cognizant of the fact that the Kenya Vision 2030 seeks to make our country an industrialized middle-income economy in the next 9 years, and aware of the immense potential for wealth creation and job opportunities through our own local production generated if well developed and commercialized, and also recognizing that our imports are well in excess of Kenya shillings 2 billion, and that most of these imports are not relevant to the Kenyan market, noting that the homegrown technology would be region sensitive and appropriate for the environment, social economic dynamics, and suitable for our utility, and further concerned that most of these artisans lack appropriate technology, skills, capital, and tools. I urge that this House resolves that the national government, through the relevant ministry, formulates a policy ring-fencing 2% of the monies that are allocated under the NGCDF, National Government Constituencies Fund, and UWEZO Fund, for the purposes of equipping artisans with the necessary skill, technology, and tools. Mr. Speaker, I move to give notice of this motion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Carrier. Member for Dagoretti North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion. That aware that Kenya's economy is largely driven by the informal sector, spearheaded by entrepreneurs presenting themselves in form of small and micro enterprise, SMEs, concerned that the informal sector, popularly known as the Juakali, has different segments and categories spread out in a value chains ranging from agriculture, trade, manufacturing, apparels, IT, transport, the creative economy, education, among others, noting that this sector has a potential to create employment opportunities to over 80% of Kenyans' working population, recognizing that these SMEs have the capacity to leapfrog our nation to a middle-income economy, as witnessed in other economies around the world, deeply concerned that previous support by the government at this sector has merely been a knee-jerk reaction in form of skewed funding and tokenism. cognizant that there exists no unified national policy or legislation in support for the sector and SMEs across the entire value chain, now therefore, this House resolves that the national government develops a unified national policy on small micro enterprises detailing recognition, funding, mentoring, expansion, restructuring, and marketing of the SMEs products. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Member for Kitui, County Member Irene Kasalu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, a request for statement regarding insecurity and invasion of camel herders in Kitui County. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44-2C, I wish to request for a statement from the leader of the majority party regarding insecurity and invasion of camel herders in Kitui County. Honorable Speaker, there has been a continuous influx of armed camel herders from Tana River, Wajir, Garissa, and Madera counties in Kitui County. This is of great concern due to resultant persistent raids by migrant herders, which have led to injuries, loss of property, entrenchments on wildlife protected areas, which in turn leads to loss of tourism revenue. In the recent weeks, boundary along the Gomeni, Ngunyi, and now Malalani and Mudha wards in Kitui County has recurred with recent killings of residents and displacement of people. The said incursion is characterized by thousands of camels in search of pastures with no regard for the property. Further, as the drought situation worsens, there is fear of a possible prolonged food shortages due to massive destruction of crops. Honorable Speaker, since committees are yet to be formed, we have no forum in the House to interrogate the executive of the matter as a House. It is against this background that I seek a statement from the leader of the majority party on the following. Number 1, could the leader of the majority party obtain a response from the executive on the immediate steps the government has put in place to enhance security in the region, and in particular, stun the influx armed camel herders from Tana River, Garissa, Wajir, and Mandera counties in Kitui County? Number 2, could the leader of the majority party also explain actions taken by the government to flush out bandits, raiders, and invaders across the Kitui County, including those in the game parks? Number 3, could the leader of the majority party explain whether investigations have been undertaken to arrest and bring the perpetrators to book for the killings, loss of properties, and crops in Kitui County? Number 4, what plans has the ministry put in place to ensure that the affected residents will be compensated for the loss of life, injuries, loss of property and crops? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Statement by the leader of the majority party pursuant to Standing Order 44-2A. Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, maybe before the statement, I've listened to the concerns raised by the Honorable Irene Kasalu on the issue she has raised relating to herding of livestock in Kitui County. And Honorable Speaker, if I draw members' attention to the motion on order number 8, Honorable Speaker, if you allow, without anticipating debate, Honorable Speaker, we should be in a position to constitute the departmental committees, including the departmental committee in charge of security issues, Honorable Speaker, and I would beg that you commit that particular issue raised by the Honorable Irene Kasalu to that committee. without anticipating debate on the passage of the order listed as order number 8.
As and when the committees are constituted, the clerk will pass on the statement to the committee mentioned.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 42A, I rise to give the following statement on behalf of the House Business Committee, which met on Tuesday, 25th October 2022, and today, Thursday, 27th October, to prioritize the business for consideration. Honorable Speaker, as you are aware, the House reconvened on Tuesday, 25th October 2022 from the short recess where members had an opportunity to reconnect with their families and constituents. I therefore wish to welcome all members back and wish them a busy legislative second part of this session. Honorable Speaker, members will recall that yesterday, Wednesday, 26th October 2022, the House considered the report on the vetting of nominees for the approval of as Cabinet Secretaries, the Secretary to the Cabinet, and the Attorney General, nominees to various positions. I would like to take this opportunity, Honorable Speaker, to thank the honorable members for their dedication, support, and active participation in the vetting process. Indeed, Honorable Speaker, their sacrifice and their active participation in exercising this crucial role is a great representation of this House. Honorable Speaker, I would also like to commend the Committee on Appointments, which you chair, our supporting staff on the work done despite the strict deadlines, and similarly congratulate the various persons appointed to serve in their capacity and wish them well as they take on the new roles as Cabinet Secretaries who were just sworn in this morning. Honorable Speaker, with regard to the provisions for next week, honorable members are aware that we are yet to establish committees. However, without anticipating debate, Honorable Speaker, as I stated thereon, the Committee on Selection will this afternoon present its report on placement of members to various committees. Honorable Speaker, in this regard, the House will debate the legislative proposal to amend the Constitution sponsored by members, by the following members, Honorable Stephen Mule and the Honorable Gishimu Givenji. Honorable Speaker, the Speaker will also consider individual members' motions, amongst them the establishment of Kiswahili Council by the member of Kamukunji, the Honorable Yusuf Hassan, MP, the empowerment of artisans by the national government by the Honorable John Kiarie, MP, which he has just given notice for, and the recognition and remuneration of village elders by the Honorable Mwengi Mutuse, MP. Honorable Speaker, the House Business Committee will reconvene again on Tuesday, 2nd November, to reschedule the business of the week. I now wish to lay this statement on the table of the House.
Next order.
Order number 8, motion, appointment of members to various committees.
Majority.
Honorable Speaker, I wish to move that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 175, this House approves the appointment of members to the respective committees of the House as specified in the schedule. Honorable Speaker, let me just draw members' attention. There is a supplementary order paper that has been circulated, and the schedule of the committee listing is attached from page number 14.
Honorable Member, there is a supplementary order paper in circulation, and that's what will guide business for the remainder of the afternoon. Proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think those who have not gotten it, the sergeant at arms, I can see them still going around distributing it. And I can see there are also members who have volunteered to help the sergeant at arms. Honorable Speaker, standing on number 173.1 states, sorry, Honorable Speaker, I had already moved, so then I got distracted, Honorable Speaker, by the movement. Honorable Speaker, I had said the supplementary order paper has a schedule that has all the committees, both departmental, the 20 departmental committees, and the select committees, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me begin by thanking in a very special way, all the members of the selections committee who took time yesterday, the larger part of the yesterday afternoon to early evening, Honorable Speaker, to sit and go through this list of committees as submitted by the House leadership from both the majority and minority parties. As I also thank our whips, the Honorable Osoro, the Honorable Junet, and also the leaders of minority, the Honorable Pio Andai, and the Deputy, Honorable Mbui, and my own Deputy, the Honorable Owen Baya, and the Deputy Whips for the work they put in, Honorable Speaker, because last week when we took recess, as we had said, those who were in the selections committee and the appointments committee, Honorable Speaker, would have no opportunity to have that recess, to recess back to their constituencies and spend a little time with their families. The members who were in the appointments committee were seated throughout. The leadership of both coalitions, Honorable Speaker, met last week on Wednesday evening till very late at night to be able to agree on the framework on how the two coalitions would share positions that, or rather the slots in the departmental committees as well as in the select committees, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me also thank the Office of the Clerk because they did put in a lot of work to guide us in line with our own standing orders, especially Standing Order 173 and 174 on how the two coalitions and even within the coalitions how we share the slots that are available in the committees, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I don't want to say a lot in line with what is provided for in the standing orders, but it's important, Honorable Speaker, to note a few things. One, Honorable Speaker, in those of us who are here in the 11th and the 12th Parliament, we recall that many of our committees, both departmental and select, had a significantly higher number of members than the committees as constituted today. You will notice that all the departmental committees have an average of 15 members. The majority party or the majority coalition having 8 members and 7 going to the minority party. However, Honorable Speaker, our own standing orders again, under Standing Order 174(1), requires that for the selections committee, in nominating members to serve on a select committee, the committee on selection shall ensure, 1, that the membership of each committee reflects the relative majorities of the seats held by each of the parliamentary parties, and we have made sure that we did that. That's why I'm saying the majority has 8, minority 7. And that no 2 members of the House Business Committee serve in the same departmental committee. And Honorable Speaker, we also ensured that there is no member that will contravene this particular provision unless, of course, the House resolves otherwise, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, it is also a requirement in our own standing orders as amended in the last Parliament, in the last days of the last Parliament, Honorable Speaker, to provide that at least 1 independent member is nominated to serve in the Special Fund Accounts Committee, and that again was also there in the 12th Parliament. But the new requirement is that at least we must ensure that our independent members are represented, and this time round, all our independent members, we have 12 independent members, and they had 10 slots that were reserved for them in line with the standing orders in departmental committees, and all those independent members have been catered for. Both the majority coalition and the minority coalition have been magnanimous enough to ensure that they adhere to the standing orders to accommodate the independent members in line, as I said, with the standing orders. It is also a requirement, Honorable Speaker, that those parties that don't constitute parliamentary political parties are taken care of. And, Honorable Speaker, it is worth noting that many of the non-parliamentary political parties are affiliated to the Kenya Kwanza coalition because ODM, Wiper, and Jubilee are parliamentary political parties, but on this side of the divide, Honorable Speaker, we have quite a number of parties that don't constitute political parties, parliamentary political parties. But within our coalition, Honorable Speaker, we have ensured that we have allocated the slots that are reserved in line with our standing orders for the non-parliamentary political parties to all the parties that are within the coalition, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, The other important thing that maybe I would want to mention and point out, Honorable Speaker, to members is that people who may be elected, because should we pass this motion today, Honorable Speaker, we do expect that His Excellency the President will be naming principal secretaries in due course, and these are the committees that will be carrying on the exercise of vetting the principal secretaries. Honorable Speaker, we expect that hopefully before His Excellency nominates the principal secretaries, the clerk's office, as indicated, may organize a calendar for elections for the leadership of these committees. And we do expect, Honorable Speaker, that hopefully from next week, early next week, we will begin the process of electing members so that the important business before the House, besides that of vetting principal secretaries, even the issue that has been raised by the Honorable Irene Kasalu, can get a committee where that kind of business can be transacted on. And of course, amongst others, we do expect that in line with the pronouncement by His Excellency the President on the supplementary budget, that the National Treasury is in the course of preparing a supplementary budget, and we expect to quickly constitute the Budget and Appropriations Committee to be able to consider any supplementary budget that may be sent our way. Honorable Speaker, you will also remember that in your communication last week or early this week, Honorable Speaker, you did indicate the issue of the appointment of the Inspector General of Police, who needs to be vetted by a joint committee between the Senate and this House, Honorable Speaker. And again, we will not be able to do that vetting of the IG without constituting these committees. Honorable Speaker, I was saying, what is of note to honorable members, Mr. Speaker, sir, is that after we elect our chairs and vice chairs, because I know, Honorable Speaker, this is a very rigorous exercise that the selections committee had to go through to place members. But I want to assuage members, you may not necessarily get the committee that you are looking for, but there will be opportunities that will arise following the election of chairs and vice chairs. More so where a chair, somebody who is elected as a chair and had been designated into either 2 or 3 committees, Honorable Speaker, because in line with our standing orders, no chair of a committee is allowed under our standing orders to be a member of any other committee. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, if you consider we have 20 departmental committees, it tells you you will have 20 slots that may fall vacant if a chair, any of the chairs elected were in another committee. The same with select committees. If one is designated and elected as a chair of a select committee, any of the around 20 committees, not 24, because some are chaired by the Speaker, like the House Business Committee and the Committee on Powers and Privileges, those again will be able to allow members to get a bit of those spoils. And this is not just for the majority party, even for the minority party, Honorable Speaker. The minority party now has about 8 committees which they are designated to chair. Therefore, even on the minority side, those who will be elected as chairs of either PIC, PAC, or the Special Funds Accounts Committee for the Independents, those who get the chair will have to relinquish. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, I just want to take this opportunity to commit, as a chair of the Selections Committee, I did indicate to the members of my committee yesterday that this time round, Honorable Speaker, we shall not make this committee a committee that only sits at the beginning of the session to place members and will sit again in case there is a movement in the course of the season, Honorable Speaker, session. But we will endeavor, as soon as we are done with the election of committee chairs and their vice chairs, to sit again, to be able to reallocate seats again, the available slots, to members in both sides of the coalition. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, I don't want to belabor many of these points because I know this, again, Honorable Speaker, is worth noting, especially to our new members of Parliament, that this is one of the most divisive exercises in any parliament, because it is always not possible to please everybody in the House. it is always not possible to place everybody in the committee they desire. Honorable Speaker, if I give you an example, the Committee on Transport and Infrastructure, from the majority side, we had 79 members who sought to be fixed in only 8 slots. The minority side had, I think, 71 members who also wanted to be slotted in the Transport Committee. The Budget and Appropriations Committee, Honorable Speaker, had 99 members who sought to sit in the Budget Committee, which can only accommodate 27 members. Therefore, honorable members, I just want to beseech you that it is not possible to please everybody. We will please some, disappoint some, but at the end of the day, Honorable Speaker, we are all members of Parliament who have the opportunity to attend all committees of this House. Nothing precludes you, as a member of Parliament, from attending any committee of the House. You don't have to be a member of the Budget and Appropriations Committee to attend meetings there. And I truly want to encourage, especially our first-time MPs, please take your time to even learn what happens in other committees other than the committee you have been designated in. Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, it has been customary, Honorable Speaker, at times to find people in 2 or 3 committees, and the moment, Honorable Speaker, people are placed in committees, members end up never showing up in any committee. I want to assure honorable members, and I have that assurance from the leaders of the minority party, that they will also keep track, like we will keep track of those in the majority party. If you are not active in the committee that you have been designated in, please allow us, and I can hear the whip here saying that is what he will bring on a daily basis, making sure that he is tracking who is active in particular committees and who are not active. So that if you don't have the opportunity or the time to attend a committee, there is no reason to hold that slot and stop someone else who would probably be more interested to serve in that committee from serving. And I'm saying that to encourage members to be active participants. If you are not a member of a committee, you have not been designated to a particular committee, be active in that committee. You may find a member who has been designated in that committee but never attends committees. And whenever you attend a committee, it is always noted in the attendance register that you attended as a friend to the committee. Therefore, from those, both whips, the majority whip and the minority whip, will be able to see who are the active members in particular committees, so that if there is reassignment, Honorable Speaker, we can reassign. Honorable Speaker, with those very many remarks, I want to beg that I move this motion and request the Honorable Leader of the Minority Party, the Honorable Pio Wandai, to second.
Mr. Speaker, I want to make some comments,
Yes,
very brief comments, and first and foremost, to acknowledge that this has been a very tedious process, a very tedious and complex exercise that was obviously bound to generate a lot of interest and anxiety. Let me say from the outset that what we have before us, in my view, is, of course, work in progress. Many of our members, if you will recall, the standing order dictate that those members who will be lucky enough to become chairs will eventually have to relinquish their membership in their second or third committees, so that they remain in only one committee each. That will, of course, create more chances and opportunities for other members who might have been disadvantaged in this first phase of their allocations. And again, a weighty process such as this one is bound to have cases of omissions and or commissions, which again will be rectified in the coming 1 week or so, once the committees settle. Let me also take this opportunity to thank our members for having been cooperative and developing an understanding that in a process such as this one, it is a matter of give and take, that you may end up not really getting what you had decided to get, but that is not to mean that you have lost out completely. It is such a weighty exercise that every other time of parliament, it takes time to eventually have everything settled. As the Honorable Leader, Honorable Ichung'wah has stated, the demand for specific committees was enormous. The Speaker, and it is an issue that we might want to ventilate on in future. What is it that interests members in these specific committees? What is it? What is it that is in the Budget and Appropriations Committee? What is it that is in the Committee on Transport? What is it that is in the Committee on Energy, Committee on Administration and National Security, and so on and so forth? This is a discussion that we may want to have in future for us to be able to address the concerns and interests of members in the coming years, so that we don't have this kind of commotion. But otherwise, Honorable Speaker, by and large, it has been an exercise that has called for serious negotiations and deliberations. With those very few remarks, I second.
Order, honorable members. Order. I now propose the question that pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 175, this House approves the appointment of members to the respective committees of the House as specified in the schedule herein. No debate? There being no desire to debate this matter, I'll put the question that pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 175, order, this House approves the appointment of members to the respective committees of the House as specified in the schedule herein. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it. Honorable members, it is important to bring to your attention that committees will be facilitated from Monday to have the inaugural meetings, elect the chairs, because there's a lot of work awaiting you. I want to direct that the committee responsible for security, the committee that will be vetting the Inspector General, be facilitated as early as tomorrow morning to sit and elect their chair and vice chair so that they can get into business with the committee of the Senate to vet the nominee for Inspector General next week. Thank you. Next order.
Order number 9, motion, adoption of sessional paper number 3 on the National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights.
Honorable member, before majority order. Honorable members, I want to acknowledge the presence of a delegation of members of parliament, parliamentary parties from the Parliament of Finland, seated in the Speaker's Gallery. Unfortunately, the clerks have not provided me with the names of the members, so I can't read out any names, but on behalf of the House and myself, we welcome you as colleagues to this House of Parliament of Kenya, and are free to enjoy our proceedings and thereafter interact with your colleagues at break time. Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, as you are aware, this morning our new cabinet secretaries have just been sworn in. Honorable Speaker, I want to beg your indulgence to defer this motion, Honorable Speaker, on adoption of session of paper number 3 on the National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights. Honorable Speaker, I would want to engage with the new cabinet secretaries to see if this session of paper indeed conforms to the policies and plans that are laid out by the new administration, Honorable Speaker. And I want to beg your indulgence that we step down this particular motion and move on to motion number 10 with your indulgence, Honorable Speaker.
It is so ordered as requested. Next order.
Order number 10, motion, recognition and remuneration of village elders, a resumption of debate.
Was there any member on the floor? If there was none, I give the floor to the Honorable Lisa Chelule. The Honorable Lisa Chelule. She's not in. If the Honorable Didymus Baraza. Honorable members, we are at order number 10.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this chance to support this motion. This is a very important motion, Mr. Speaker, even though I regret that, even though it's a very good motion, that will see the government to begin to recognize village elders. But I'm worried that it cannot be enforced by government because it's not a bill. I served in the Committee of National Administration, the last parliament, for about 2 years. And the PS indicated to the committee that the reason why
all the honorable members.
National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights, Honorable Speaker. I would want to engage with the new cabinet secretaries to see if this session of paper indeed conforms to the policies and plans that are laid out by the new administration, Honorable Speaker. And I want to beg your indulgence that we step down this particular motion and move on to motion number 10 with your indulgence, Honorable Speaker.
It is so ordered as requested. Next order.
Order number 10, motion, recognition and remuneration of village elders, a resumption of debate.
Was there any member on the floor? If there was none, I give the floor to the Honorable Lisa Chelule. The Honorable Lisa Chelule. She's not in. If the Honorable Didymus Baraza. Honorable members, we are at order number 10.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this chance to support this motion. This is a very important motion, Mr. Speaker, even though I regret that, even though it's a very good motion, that will see the government to begin to recognize village elders, but I'm worried that it cannot be enforced by government because it's not a bill. I served in the Committee of National Administration, the last parliament, for about 2 years. And the PS indicated to the committee that the reason why
all the honorable members.
Honorable Speaker, standing on number 173.1 states, sorry, Honorable Speaker, I had already moved, so then I got distracted, Honorable Speaker, by the movement. Honorable Speaker, I had said the supplementary order paper has a schedule that has all the committees, both departmental, the 20 departmental committees, and the select committees, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me begin by thanking in a very special way all the members of the selections committee who took time yesterday, the larger part of the yesterday afternoon to early evening, Honorable Speaker, to sit and go through this list of committees as submitted by the House leadership from both the majority and minority parties. As I also thank our whips, the Honorable Osoro, the Honorable Junet, and also the leaders of minority, the Honorable Pio Andai and the Deputy, Honorable Mbui, and my own Deputy, the Honorable Owen Baya, and the Deputy Whips for the work they put in, Honorable Speaker, because last week when we took recess, as we had said, those who were in the selections committee and the appointments committee, Honorable Speaker, would have no opportunity to have that recess, to recess back to their constituencies and spend a little time with their families. The members who were in the appointments committee were seated throughout. The leadership of both coalitions, Honorable Speaker, met last week on Wednesday evening till very late at night to be able to agree on the framework on how the two coalitions would share positions that, or rather the slots in the departmental committees as well as in the select committees, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me also thank the Office of the Clerk because they did put in a lot of work to guide us in line with our own standing orders, especially Standing Order 173 and 174 on how the two coalitions and even within the coalitions how we share the slots that are available in the committees, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I don't want to say a lot in line with what is provided for in the standing orders, but it's important, Honorable Speaker, to note a few things. One, Honorable Speaker, in those of us who are here in the 11th and the 12th Parliament, we recall that many of our committees, both departmental and select, had a significantly higher number of members than the committees as constituted today. You will notice that most of all the departmental committees have an average of 15 members. The majority party or the majority coalition having 8 members and 7 going to the minority party. However, Honorable Speaker, our own standing orders again, under Standing Order 174.1, requires that for the selections committee, in nominating members to serve on a select committee, the committee on selection shall ensure, 1, that the membership of each committee reflects the relative majorities of the seats held by each of the parliamentary parties, and we have made sure that we did that. That's why I'm saying the majority has 8, minority 7. And that no 2 members of the House Business Committee serve in the same departmental committee. And Honorable Speaker, we also ensured that there is no member that will contravene this particular provision unless, of course, the House resolves otherwise, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, it is also a requirement in our own standing orders as amended in the last Parliament, in the last days of the last Parliament, Honorable Speaker, to provide that at least 1 independent member is nominated to serve in the Special Fund Accounts Committee, and that again was also there in the 12th Parliament. But the new requirement is that at least we must ensure that our independent members are represented, and this time round, all our independent members, we have 12 independent members, and they had 10 slots that were reserved for them in line with the standing orders in departmental committees, and all those independent members have been catered for. Both the majority coalition and the minority coalition have been magnanimous enough to ensure that they adhere to the standing orders to accommodate the independent members in line, as I said, with the standing orders. It is also a requirement, Honorable Speaker, that those parties that don't constitute parliamentary political parties are taken care of. And Honorable Speaker, it is worth noting that many of the non-parliamentary political parties are affiliated to the Kenya Kwanza coalition, because ODM, Wiper, and Jubilee are parliamentary political parties. But on this side of the divide, Honorable Speaker, we have quite a number of parties that don't constitute political parties, parliamentary political parties. But within our coalition, Honorable Speaker, we have ensured that we have allocated the slots that are reserved in line with our standing orders for the non-parliamentary political parties to all the parties that are within the coalition, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the other important thing that maybe I would want to mention and point out, Honorable Speaker, to members is that people who may be elected, because should we pass this motion today, Honorable Speaker, we do expect that His Excellency the President will be naming principal secretaries in due course, and these are the committees that will be carrying on the exercise of vetting the principal secretaries. Honorable Speaker, we expect that hopefully before His Excellency nominates the principal secretaries, the clerk's office, as indicated, may organize a calendar for elections for the leadership of these committees. And we do expect, Honorable Speaker, that hopefully from next week, early next week, we will begin the process of electing members so that the important business before the House, besides that of vetting principal secretaries, even the issue that has been raised by the Honorable Irene Kasalu, can get a committee where that kind of business can be transacted on. And of course, amongst others, we do expect that in line with the pronouncement by His Excellency the President on the supplementary budget, that the National Treasury is in the course of preparing a supplementary budget, and we expect to quickly constitute the Budget and Appropriations Committee to be able to consider any supplementary budget that may be sent our way. Honorable Speaker, you will also remember that in your communication last week or early this week, Honorable Speaker, you did indicate the issue of the appointment of the Inspector General of Police, who needs to be vetted by a joint committee between the Senate and this House, Honorable Speaker. And again, we will not be able to do that vetting of the IG without constituting these committees. Honorable Speaker, I was saying, what is of note to honorable members, Mr. Speaker, sir, is that after we elect our chairs and vice chairs, because I know, Honorable Speaker, this is a very rigorous exercise that the selections committee had to go through to place members. But I want to assuage members you may not necessarily get the committee that you are looking for, but there will be opportunities that will arise following the election of chairs and vice chairs. More so where a chair, somebody who is elected as a chair and had been designated into either 2 or 3 committees, Honorable Speaker, because in line with our standing orders, no chair of a committee is allowed under our standing orders to be a member of any other committee. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, if you consider we have 20 departmental committees, it tells you you will have 20 slots that may fall vacant if a chair, any of the chairs elected were in another committee. The same with select committees. If one is designated and elected as a chair of a select committee, any of the around 20 committees, not 24, because some are chaired by the Speaker, like the House Business Committee and the Committee on Powers and Privileges, those again will be able to allow members to get a bit of those spoils. And this is not just for the majority party, even for the minority party, Honorable Speaker. The minority party now has about 8 committees which they are designated to chair. Therefore, even on the minority side, those who will be elected as chairs of either PIC, PAC, or the Special Funds Accounts Committee for the Independents, those who get the chair will have to relinquish. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, I just want to take this opportunity to commit. As the chair of the Selections Committee, I did indicate to the members of my committee yesterday that this time round, Honorable Speaker, we shall not make this committee a committee that only sits at the beginning of the session to place members and will sit again in case there is a movement in the course of the season, Honorable Speaker, session. But we will endeavor, as soon as we are done with the election of committee chairs and their vice chairs, to sit again, to be able to reallocate seats again, the available slots, to members in both sides of the coalition. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, I don't want to belabor many of these points because I know this, again, Honorable Speaker, is worth noting, especially to our new members of Parliament, that this is one of the most divisive exercises in any Parliament, because it is always not possible to please everybody in the House. It is always not possible to place everybody in the committee they desire. Honorable Speaker, if I give you an example, the Committee on Transport and Infrastructure, from the majority side, we had 79 members who sought to be fixed in only 8 slots. The minority side had, I think, 71 members who also wanted to be slotted in the Transport Committee. The Budget and Appropriations Committee, Honorable Speaker, had 99 members who sought to sit in the Budget Committee, which can only accommodate 27 members. Therefore, honorable members, I just want to beseech you that it is not possible to please everybody. We will please some, disappoint some, but at the end of the day, Honorable Speaker, we are all members of Parliament who have the opportunity to attend all committees of this House. Nothing precludes you, as a member of Parliament, from attending any committee of the House. You don't have to be a member of the Budget and Appropriations Committee to attend meetings there. And I truly want to encourage, especially our first-time MPs, please take your time to even learn what happens in other committees other than the committee you have been designated in. Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, it has been customary, Honorable Speaker, at times to find people in 2 or 3 committees, and the moment, Honorable Speaker, people are placed in committees, members end up never showing up in any committee. I want to assure honorable members, and I have that assurance from the leaders of the minority party, that they will also keep track, like we will keep track of those in the majority party. If you are not active in the committee that you have been designated in, please allow us, and I can hear the whip here saying that is what he will bring on a daily basis, making sure that he is tracking who is active in particular committees and who are not active. So that if you don't have the opportunity or the time to attend a committee, there is no reason to hold that slot and stop someone else who would probably be more interested to serve in that committee from serving. And I'm saying that to encourage members to be active participants. If you are not a member of a committee,
you have not been designated to a particular committee. Be active in that committee. You may find a member who has been designated in that committee but never attends committees. And whenever you attend a committee, it is always noted in the attendance register that you attended as a friend to the committee. Therefore, from those, both whips, the majority whip and the minority whip, will be able to see who are the active members in particular committees, so that if there is reassignment, Honorable Speaker, we can reassign. Honorable Speaker, with those very many remarks, I want to beg that I move this motion and request the Honorable Leader of the Minority Party, the Honorable Pio Wandai, to second.
Mr. Speaker, I want to make some comments,
Yes,
very brief comments, and first and foremost, to acknowledge that this has been a very tedious process, a very tedious and complex exercise that was obviously bound to generate a lot of interest and anxiety. Let me say from the outset that what we have before us, in my view, is, of course, work in progress. Many of our members, if you will recall, the standing orders dictate that those members who will be lucky enough to become chairs will eventually have to relinquish their membership in their second or third committees, so that they remain in only one committee each. That will, of course, create more chances and opportunities for other members who might have been disadvantaged in this first phase of the allocations. And again, I await
worried that it cannot be enforced by government because it's not a bill. I served in the Committee of National Administration, the last parliament, for about 2 years. And the PS indicated to the committee that the reason why
all the honorable members
to run our farms, plan our farms, they give guidance on health, they give guidance on security, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, it's long overdue. It's long overdue that these people will have been considered. They should not only be considered in terms of money, Mr. Speaker, and salaries. Mr. Speaker, these people must be given uniforms and attire to look like government. They represent government at a lower level, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, they should bring out the best image. The good uniforms we see with the chiefs, Mr. Speaker. The good uniforms we see with assistant chiefs, Mr. Speaker. The good uniforms we see with the DCs and DOs, Mr. Speaker, on the ground must be given to these village elders. Mr. Speaker, and the remunerations. We shall reach a level, Mr. Speaker. Even when you come to the currently, Mr. Speaker, you find that even village administrators on the county level, they earn, Mr. Speaker, good money. And the village, this village, Mr. Speaker, elders from the national government, Mr. Speaker, go home nil. This will not only, Mr. Speaker, encourage them to work hard, but this, Mr. Speaker, will also reduce corruption. These people work hard, they have no salaries, Mr. Speaker, and you expect them to live. How do you want them to live, Mr. Speaker, if they don't go the other way around? So, Mr. Speaker, if we pay these people, I'm sure that the village elders will do a better job, they will do the best work on the ground, and we shall be able, Mr. Speaker, to run programs very easily. Mr. Speaker, you look at some of these villages, Mr. Speaker. When you allow, if we were to allow village elders, Mr. Speaker, at current as we talk now, if we were to allow them to address our functions, Mr. Speaker, it's shame. The way they dress, the way they upkeep, Mr. Speaker, is one thing. They must also be treated as civil servants. Come down when Mr. Speaker, get well paid and get better uniforms. To me, Mr. Speaker, this motion was long overdue. I want to congratulate the Member of Parliament who has brought this motion here, Mr. Speaker, that we shall support this, we shall move with it to the end and see that the people get up their money and leave the Speaker. This is the only way the Kenya Kwanza government, Mr. Speaker, where we are, Mr. Speaker, that supports bottom up. And this will be the bottom we are starting with. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I support this motion.
Thank you so much. Before I give the next person on this, I wish to recognize the following schools that have come to follow our proceedings this afternoon. Number 1, Olympic High School, Kibra constituency, Nairobi.
Number 2 is Mukuru Kayaba Primary School from Starehe, Nairobi. Number 3, Naivasha High School from Naivasha, Nakuru County. Number 4, Little Angels Academy, Thika Town, Kiambu. Number 5, Muihoko Meru Association from Ruiru, Kiambu County. They are welcome to follow our proceedings. Thank you so much. The next contributor on this particular motion is the Honorable Titus Lote of Kacheliba.
Mr. Speaker, I stand to contribute to this motion in regards to the village elders. Mr. Speaker, as members have contributed, you'll be very aware about the impact that the village elders are doing in our country. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the way the village elders are structured, you realize that they are the ones that form government at the very basic level. And therefore, if we respect government, we need to respect the village elders. Mr. Speaker, like one of my colleagues has said, it is very embarrassing to get the village elders that represent the government at the bottom of the hierarchy actually putting on very badly and yet representing the government that we call our government. I contribute to say that without the village elders, Mr. Speaker, the kind of work that the chiefs are actually undergoing will be tedious and more harder. But because the village elders have given themselves, they have given their energies, they have given their time, and they also give their resources, Mr. Speaker, I think we as a country, after legislating, we need to see that the village elders are actually remunerated like any other. In fact, these village elders have actually contributed to the taxes that come into this government. And it is not in order that they, through the work that they do, contribute and yet they get nothing. I think, Mr. Speaker, it is time that this House legislate, and not only legislate, ensure that whatever has been passed in this House is actually put into action. It is very shameful to see that the village elders, who are also the judiciary within the villages, are actually neglected, and yet others are gloating with money and resources from government and not recognizing the work that these people are doing. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want this House to take it very seriously, that these people, the village elders, the mkasas, are people that are families, they are people that are respected, they are people that have been chosen by the communities. And so, if we respect the communities, I contribute to say that the village elders need to be remunerated, they need to be taken care of. I have known of village elders that have actually died in the line of action. When the chiefs are being chased away by the people, the village elders come to stand on their way. And most of the times, the village elders are also suffering. So if they suffer for the cause of this country, Mr. Speaker, I contribute to say that the village elders need to be paid, and be paid handsomely, because it is through the same village elders that we, even in this House, are enjoying some bit of peace. Some of us that are coming from environments that are actually considered as a little bit of not very peaceful, the village elders take the road of the government. And so, Mr. Speaker, as I contribute here, I want this to be known, that the village elders have been promised several years by governments, and I hope this government, that is a new government, does not just become a government that only promises, but put into action the remuneration of the village elders and the function of the village elders. Mr. Speaker, it is also important that we allow this office of the village elders operate within the chiefs and the assistant chiefs' offices. They should not work within their homes, because some of the times we actually endanger their family members. Because when there are cases and disputes that are being solved by them, sometimes it goes and boils into their families, and their families are affected as well. So I actually also contribute to say, apart from us paying them, we also need to ensure that the village elders, both female and male, are actually given official spaces. Mr. Speaker, with this, I stand to contribute. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Honorable members, my intention as the chair today is to follow the order that we have as by the time you requested to speak. So don't come here and tell me your card has jammed. I will follow the list the way it is. So even if you came here 10 times, I will not change the list. So the next speaker is Honorable Augustine Mwafrika.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this glorious opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the motion, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I start by advocating that the village elders be given a statutory recognition, Mr. Speaker, for offering and frontiering their services free of charge, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the census of 1999 showed that village elders are spread in 6,612 sub-locations in Kenya, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, these village elders, for a very long time, they have been at the mercy of the chiefs, Mr. Speaker. I advocate that they be enumerated, and not only enumerated, but they be enumerated well, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we recognize the role of the village elders. They are the ones who carry out the role of disseminating information to the residents on behalf of the government, Mr. Speaker. They are the same who sit in the red boards, Mr. Speaker. The same village elders, Mr. Speaker, are the ones who assist the security agents to identify criminals, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, these village elders, most of them have a lot of knowledge, Mr. Speaker. Most of them are retired civil servants. They are teachers, Mr. Speaker. And I would like to encourage the government to take advantage of that knowledge they have by tapping it and also by remunerating them as they work together with the chiefs, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, these village elders have assisted in so many ways, Mr. Speaker. But for a long time, Mr. Speaker, they have not been earning anything, Mr. Speaker. I stand here, Mr. Speaker, to support the motion and also to support that they be remunerated, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
If all of us were as short as Honorable Mwafrika, we all would speak. The next on the list is the Honorable Mary Maingi of Mwea. The next one there is Honorable David Kiplagat of Soy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. First, I want to support the motion on why we need to take care of our village elders. It is very important that the role the village elders are playing is very important in that they actually the contact between the locals and the administration. And I've never known why the only government official that is not remunerated is the village elder. The sub-chiefs are enumerated, the chiefs are enumerated, up to the county commissioners. So I really want to support the motion that we really have to develop a payment structure that will enable the payment of village elders. And also, the other problem that we noted is that village elders requires to be given uniforms. As you are aware, all the other provincial administration, they have the uniforms, but the village elders don't have the uniforms. Like in Wasinkishu, where I come from, the county has tried to give them the uniforms, and when you look at those uniforms, they don't look very smart. So it is very important that the ministry that is concerned, that is the Ministry of Interior and Administration, should come up with the uniforms for village elders and also come up with a payment structure so that the village elders can be remunerated. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This chance now goes to the Honorable Stephen Mogaka of West Bugirango. In the absence of Honorable Mogaka, this chance goes to Honorable Liz Chelule. She had been given a chance earlier, but there was commotion a bit, so she couldn't speak.
Asante sana Bwana Spika kunipatia hii nafasi. Pia nichangie kwa mswada ambaye limeletwa katika hii bunge na mheshimiwa mmoja katika bunge letu la 13. Nataka kuongea juu ya mambo ya wazee ya village elder ama mzee wa mtaa. Hawa ni viongozi ama ni watendakazi ambaye wamekuwa wakifanya kazi mingi sana kule nyumbani. Hawa ni wale wamekuwa wakitatua makesi mbalimbali ya mafamily, wamekuwa wakitatua makesi mbalimbali kuhusu mambo ambayo inafanyika katika kule nyumbani kama uwizi ya aina yoyote. Hawa wazee wamekuwa wakifanya kazi. Na ninapoongea juu ya wazee, pengine watu wengine wanafikiria ni wazee wanaume peke yao. Nataka kuongea juu ya kina mama pia ambaye ni viongozi ya mitaa kule nyumbani. Na ninaunga mkono kwa dhati sana Bwana Spika, hawa viongozi kule nyumbani walipwe pesa na pia watambulishwe kule nyumbani. That kila wakati tukiwa na mkutano nyumbani lazima watambulike, lazima wajulikane na ni lazima walipwe. Hawa ndio wazee ama viongozi kule nyumbani ambayo wamekuwa wakifanya kazi ngumu sana hata kuliko ya chief. Wamekuwa wakifanya kazi ngumu sana hata kuliko yetu. Ni watu ambayo wamesaidia taifa hili for a long time. Wamesaidia taifa letu kwa muda mrefu sana. Hivyo ninaunga mkono mimi kama mama county kutoka Nakuru, ninaunga mkono wazee wa mitaa watambuliwe na walipwe pesa. Na sio hiyo peke yake Bwana Spika, hata kuelimishwa kwa mambo ya uongozi, kuelimishwa kwa mambo ambayo inahusu kazi yao, pia wapatiwe elimu ya kutosha. Na singependa mtu ama mtu yote aseme lazima mzee ya mtaa awe na certificate ya masomo, sababu uongozi yake ni uongozi ya hekima kutoka kwa Mwenyezi Mungu. Hivyo watu wengine wanaweza fikiria ni vyema hao wawe na certificate ya masomo. Certificate yao ni ile hekima kutoka kwa Mwenyezi Mungu. Kwa hivyo ninasema hivi, walipwe pesa zao, wawe recognized, na wakati wanapochaguliwa kufanya kazi pale nyumbani lazima iangaliwe pia kina mama wamepatiwa nafasi. Bwana Spika, tunajua kuna wazee ya nyumba 10 na chairman yao. So nafikiria itakuwa ni kazi ya hii bunge pia kuhakikisha kwamba hizo zote mbili imeletwe, ionekane ni unit ama ni sehemu moja ya uongozi katika taifa letu, sababu wakati huu tunapoongea juu ya wazee ya mtaa kuna wale wazee ambaye wanaitwa nyumba 10. Pia kama itaonekana ni vikozi mbili tofauti, wote walipwe sababu wanafanya kazi mzuri pale nyumbani. Hivyo nataka kusema mimi kama Liza Chelule ninaunga mkono wazee wa mitaa walipwe na watambuliwe. Asante sana. Na wale watoto wote ambao wametoka upande wa Nakuru County, karibuni sana bunge letu, hapa ndio tuko. Ninajua wazazi wenu walituchagua, walituombea, na chenye mnajifunza leo wakati huu katika hii bunge ni ile itaongeza maarifa ama itaongeza mambo ya masomo kwenu. Na sio hiyo peke yake, kuja kwenu hapa inathirisha kwamba miaka 10 ama 14 inayokuja mtakuwa wajumbe katika hili nyumba ya taifa letu la Kenya. Asanteni.
Thank you. This chance goes to the Honorable Dick Maungu.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, sir. I stand to support the motion on the remuneration of village elders, Mr. Speaker. Village elders do play a very important part back in the villages because they stand out as opinion leaders in the community. They take a lot of risks on behalf of the government of Kenya in ensuring that things are moving well in the community, but they lack basic tools of assignment. I stand to support the motion because, Mr. Speaker, we need to find a way in which we can find that the village elders have a pay. These are men and women who wake up every morning on assignments, wake up every other day, Mr. Speaker, to work for the community. So when their bosses, the chief, the ACC, go back to their houses with a pay or a pay slip at the end of the month, these men and women of integrity go home empty-handed. It will therefore be fine and very much in order, Mr. Speaker, that the government comes up with a way or a pay structure, or a way in which we can have our village elders well paid or some kind of appreciation, Mr. Speaker. Many of the times that we run to these village elders for counsel, many of the times we run to these village elders for information and even guidance, Mr. Speaker. I believe that whenever the government wants to get some information from every village, these are the point men and women who will go to the villages and identify what it is that is required. And therefore, it will be quite unfair that these great men and women can continue to work. These people can continue to work for the government, to work for the community and the people at large, but with no pay, Mr. Speaker. Many of the times in my village, back home, I'll come across these people, very dedicated people, very committed people, but when other people are enjoying their pay, when other people are enjoying their allowances, Mr. Speaker, these men and women will go home angry. I therefore stand to support that we need to have a structure, we need to have a way in which these people can be paid. It may appear a bit difficult, Mr. Speaker, having all these people given a structure, but I believe that, as has been said before, so much money is lost through corruption and other channels, Mr. Speaker. If all this money were put into practice, if all this money were gathered together, I'm sure it will be capable and we shall be able to pay our men and women who guide our village down there, Mr. Speaker. These people, as earlier said, Mr. Speaker, are opinion leaders. Whenever you want to get information, whenever you want to seek counsel, whenever you want to find an idea about our community, Mr. Speaker, more often than not, we shall result or we shall go back to the community leaders, Mr. Speaker. I therefore stand to support the motion that we need to come up with a structure, we need to come up with a way of appreciating these great people, Mr. Speaker, and if possible, even give them tools of trade, Mr. Speaker. Sometimes they are called upon to work at night without even a torch, or they are supposed to buy it by themselves, without even warm clothes, Mr. Speaker, without even, protection gears. Where we find that in the villages, Mr. Speaker, we have situations whereby drugs and substance abuse have in the villages, Mr. Speaker. We look upon these leaders to help us identify such. So I stand to support that we need to have with a structure that can therefore put these people in a system whereby, as we pay the chief, as we pay the assistant chief, as we pay the district, the ACC or the DCC, Mr. Speaker, let's have a way in which we can reward, we can enumerate these people that they may have a decent living so that they can also have some sense of dignity in the execution of their duty. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this very important motion that has been brought by the Honorable Mwengi Mutuse, MP for Kibwezi West. First and foremost, I wish to begin by stating that in the last parliament, the 12th parliament, I actually brought such a motion which was debated and passed by this House, but implementation, as usual, became a problem. I actually made several follow-ups with the implementation committee, and their position was that the government did not have money to implement the execution of this a motion similar to this one. Therefore, as we debate, it is important to note that there are other hurdles on our way which may actually hinder the implementation of such an important resolution by this House. Be that as it may, that was the other government which is now out of power, and we have a new government in place which actually minds the welfare of the people of Kenya. And as it has been said, this is an example of the bottom-up approach of the Kenya Kwanza government, whereby the lowest persons on the pyramid are uplifted so that they can also live like human beings. Village elders, who are known by various titles in various areas of Kenya, are actually very important persons who play a pivotal role in administration of the country. It is important to note that the basic administrative unit in Kenya is actually the village. This is the reason why, in spite of the fact that there is no formal recognition of village elders, they are actually part of the government system, though they are not remunerated. It is also important to note the roles they play, because they are first and foremost the village courts. They are the arbiters who decide on cases, both civil and criminal. Civil, in as much as villagers are not able to go to court, and therefore they look for quicker solutions to their problems, including arbitration by village elders. Criminal, in that sometimes it is important to encourage reconciliation amongst villagers so that they are able to live harmoniously without having to resort to the criminal justice. They are also, for all intents and purposes, the family court, whereby they decide matters family, reconcile families when they are in dispute. They are also able to decide on divorces and marriages and all other things that touch on family life.
Murugara, you know the rules.
Yes.
You cannot read throughout in a debate. I would
Sorry?
say you cannot read as if you're reading a speech.
I'm sorry, I'm not reading. Sorry, Mr. Speaker, I'm holding the order paper.
Oh, okay, I thought you were reading.
I'm actually.
I thought you were reading.
Thank you very much. I'm just holding the order paper. It looks like I'm reading. I'm not reading at all. So this is what they do. Very, very important roles they play, including assisting the government from the very basic structure, assisting the assistant chiefs and the chiefs in execution of their duties. With such roles, therefore, there is vital need to amend the National Government and Coordination Act so that we actually entrench villages as units of administration and the village elders as part of our national government. It is important to report to this House that when we vetted the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Government, the learned Professor Kithure Kindiki, he was quite candid that he would actually consider this as one of his priorities.
What is in order? What is out of order?
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. I actually did not intend to cut short my brother's speech, but I've got an issue or two to raise with your indulgence, Honorable Speaker. This relates to the prevailing situation across our constituencies, Honorable Speaker. In the last Parliament, there was a pending issue from NGCDF to all constituencies. A particular amount of money amounting to 13 million shillings was owed to constituencies by NGCDF. And in the first supplementary budget that we did allude to, or that we did pass here, touched on about 4 billion shillings, which was to be expended to these constituencies, Honorable Speaker. As we speak today, Honorable Speaker, most of students...
How does that relate to the Honorable Murugara's?
No, it is not, Honorable Speaker. And if you allow me, just allow me to prosecute this matter because it touches across all constituencies. So, Honorable Speaker, we have people who are held in villages, still at home, cannot access schools just because of this 13 million shillings owed to constituencies. And I would ask your kind office and indulgence to help us pursue this money through the NGCDF board.
Thank you so,
that we can
Thank you so much, the Honorable Jared Okello.
Would you allow me to prosecute the second issue?
No,
just in under 1 minute, Honorable Speaker.
Not so. My advice to you on this matter is that you either approach the Speaker through his office or do a letter to him or prepare a formal motion for debate before the floor.
I will do so. Well guided. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sorry for that interlude, which possibly didn't relate to what I was saying. But, Mr. Speaker, I'm urging this House maybe to move away from these motions and the petitions, because we've done so. As I did this in 2018, I was also informed that previously a similar motion or petition had passed and it had also been ignored. So we now possibly need to move quickly and amend the National Government and Coordination Act so that we can entrench the village and the village elders as part and parcel of the national government administration system, because it is important. The reason we say so is that under the village elders, we also have another entity known as Nyumba Kumi. Nyumba Kumi are possibly the foot soldiers of the village elders. They are also the persons who execute most of the mandate on behalf of assistant chiefs. These people actually do it free of charge. It's voluntary, they do not get paid for it, and where they get whatever appreciation they get, it is in the form of mundane items, where possibly there is a local brew, they get that, or when you slaughter a goat or a sheep, you may give them the head or the hooves or whatever it is. And this is not a good way of remunerating such important persons. Therefore, it is vitally important that we, as the House of Parliament, reconsider what we are to do with this, and especially because of our new government, which is in place. The government is quite keen that it shall not leave anybody behind. And if that is the case, we have to relook at our budgets, where we take our money. How much goes to roads, how much goes to water, how much goes to security. And in all this, we must be able to find some line for such village elders and such units of administration. So it is my humble submission that as I support this petition, this motion, and as I urge the House to also pass this particular motion, then we have to think ahead. Because if we are not careful, once we make this resolution, and it's not even a resolution, we are urging the government to implement this motion. We may be faced with the same answers when we go to Treasury, that there is no money, there is no budget, that we don't have much that can help these people. Therefore, the mover of this motion and ourselves, we now have to look at the possible amendments to this act so that these people can be entrenched in our laws. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well said. The Honorable Charles Onchonke of Bonchari.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity for me to make a contribution to this motion, which is very important. Village elders everywhere in the country are the unsung heroes for what they do, and rarely are they recognized or appreciated for what they do. The functions they perform across the country include arbitration, mediation, reconciliation at the lowest level of administration in our country. Therefore, it's critical, it's important that we consider for them to be included in the payment by the government. In my constituency in Bonchari, at least 80% of disputes, be they matrimonial, land-related, petty crimes, are resolved by the village elders. They rarely go through the formal judicial system, which is often very complex, expensive, time-consuming, intimidating, and all of that. So these matters are settled by the able village elders, who should be recognized, not just be recognized so that it can be vetted, just like we have the CBS, all those accolades that we normally award people who performed well. They should be rewarded for what they do. And they toil every day, they expend their energy, their time, their money, so that we can live in peace and we can have this dispute resolved and we can have our villages in one piece. I also support the fact that we need, the idea that we need to have the villages to be administrative units within our system of administration under the Interior Ministry as soon as possible. Their skills, which they expend, their time that they expend, the money they use, moving from one point to another so that they can execute their duties, really is tantamount to slavery. They put in their time, but they're not compensated. They are not given anything, which is contrary to the laws, which is wrong, it's immoral, it's against the Constitution. For that reason, Mr. Speaker, I support that the village elders be remunerated properly and the villages be recognized in our administrative units in the country. I support Mr. Speaker, and thank you.
The Honorable Timothy Toroitich of Marakwet West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this time to contribute this motion. Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to thank the Honorable Mutuse who brought this motion before this House. Mr. Speaker, this is a matter that is dear to my heart. I remember when I campaigned in Marakwet West, one of the issues that I promised village elders is that I would be able to address this issue at the floor of the House. So I thank God for this opportunity to have this matter addressed. Mr. Speaker, village elders perform very critical functions in this country. In fact, the irony of it is that whereas village elders are assigned functions by some administrative, they are assigned functions, ideally they are not remunerated. And that is something that this House, we must pursue so that they can be able to be remunerated when and the time comes. Mr. Speaker, if you look at Article 159 of the Constitution, it talks about judicial authority. 159.2 talks about alternative means of dispute resolution. Mr. Speaker, one of the ways that ADR should touch on is on the issue of traditional dispute resolution mechanism. Mr. Speaker, I believe that once they are gazetted, once village elders or village units are gazetted and recognized by law, I believe that village elders will play a very critical role in terms of settling disputes in a traditional manner. And Mr. Speaker, sir, village elders have a lot of knowledge in matters to do with culture, with matters in matters of solving disputes, and I believe that they will play a very critical role when it comes to issues of dispute resolution. Mr. Speaker, but again, if we have to achieve this, then we must look at amending the National Government Coordination Act, because even if you pass a motion in this House and we do not have a legislation that will be able to anchor the village units, the village elders in a legislation, that means we may not be able to achieve the matter that has been brought before this House. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, to realize this, yesterday my friend Mr. Mutuse informed this House that he has already submitted a legislative proposal. Equally, Mr. Speaker, sir, I have submitted a legislative proposal to the Speaker intending to amend the National Government Coordination Act to include village elders as part of the administrative authorities in this country. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, it is my prayer that when the bill comes to this House of amending the National Government Coordination Act, then it means that village elders will be legally anchored in law, and as such, they will be duly remunerated as other officers who are provided for that act. Mr. Speaker, sir, chiefs in this country, assistant chiefs in this country have assigned functions to village elders, and yet those functions are just exercised arbitrarily, and at the end of it, village elders are not remunerated. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I find that the ultimate way of achieving this is by anchoring the village units in a legislation in this country. That will be the only way of making village elders get their remuneration in a lawful and in a legal manner. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I stand here and I rise to support this motion and to thank the honorable member for this motion. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Honorable members, there are members who are coming here saying their cards are not working. I am not in a position to help on a card issue. The officers are able to help on the card issues, please. There are those who are putting their cards and they are not pressing the request button. Again, we are asking you that when you put your card, you should be able to press the button. Don't say that you came here at 2:30 and you've not been seen. Then when you ask the clerks, they're saying you didn't press the button as required. This chance goes to Honorable Dan Wanyama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. On the onset, I want to support the motion of Honorable Mutuse because the village elders are an integral part of the national government, that they do quite a lot in terms of helping the assistant chiefs and the chiefs, and therefore eventually the government at large. And where I sit is that village elders are like the legs of the national government. And there is no way the national government can operate without the legs if they have got to be effective. So this motion has come, and we want to give an indication to the government, and particularly the new government that has come in, that these are Kenyans who have given service without being appreciated. And I want to say this, that even in the 10th Parliament, this motion was brought up by Honorable Eugene Wamalwa. It was debated, it was passed, but there was nothing that was done. So I want to advise Honorable Mutuse that where it is now, as much as we are going to bring the bill to have these village elders being paid the salary, but a quick fix is, nowadays, the chiefs and the DCCs get some interest funding. And for now, because these people have suffered for quite some time, I will urge the minister who is coming in, or the CS who is coming in, to enhance that interest so that these village elders, meanwhile, before the bill passes for them to get salary, they should get some stipend that can help them actually up their lives. Because whatever they do is a very big role that the government actually needs them, and it is important that these people are appreciated. And I want to say this, if we have a regulation and a policy that actually takes care of these elders in a very organized manner, in fact, they will help the judiciary to have very less these minor cases going to the courts, because the elders actually handle those matters with the assistant chiefs there, and that problem can be sorted, whereby the courts are full of the small cases that can be handled by these elders. So I want to support this motion, and most importantly, say that where we stand at the moment, the stipend can do meanwhile, because the interest that goes to the DCC and the chiefs can handle these elders meanwhile, as we look forward for the bill to anchor it into the act so that these elders are remunerated very well. Mr. Speaker, I support and thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you. This chance goes to the Honorable Paul Ikatana, and he'll be followed by the Honorable Kosgei Bishop.
Asante Bwana Spika kwa kunipatia nafasi hii. Kabla sijachangia mswada huu, ningependa kuwashukuru wakazi wa Kaloleni kwa kunipatia nafasi ya kuweza kuwahudumia kwa kipindi cha pili. Hii ni mara ya kwanza kwa mjumbe Kaloleni kuchaguliwa kipindi cha pili kwa muda wa zaidi ya miaka 20. Nikirudia mdahalo huu kuhusu wazee wa mitaa na wazee wa nyumba kumi. Madam Speaker, wazee wa mitaa ni kiungo muhimu katika utawala wa mkoa. Wazee wa mitaa wanafanya kazi ngumu sana. Kabla chief, DO au DC kupata habari, mtu wa kwanza anayetafutwa ni mzee wa mtaa. Lakini hawajatambuliwa na serikali zilizopita. Serikali hii imesema muundo msingi wake ni kuanzia chini kwenda juu. Tunaomba serikali hii iweze kuwatambua wazee wa mitaa na waweze kuangaliwa ni kiwango gani wanaweza kulipwa ili waweze kuhudumia wananchi. Madam Speaker, eneo bunge langu Kaloleni limeshuhudia visa vya mauaji ya wazee. Mtu wa kwanza mzee akiuawa, polisi wakifika wanauliza mzee wa mtaa alikuwa yuko wapi mtu yule akiuawa. Wamekuwa wakihangaishwa sana, lakini hakuna mtu ambaye anaweza kuambia asante kwa ile kazi na kuweza kupatiwa malipo. Mswada huu umekuja wakati mzuri, lakini wasiwasi wangu Madam Speaker, mwaka 2018 tulipitisha mswada huu wa kusema wazee wa mitaa lazima watambuliwe, lakini haukutiwa sahihi kwa kisingizio kwamba hakuna pesa. Safari hii tunaomba serikali iliyopo kupitia Wizara ya Usalama wa Kitaifa wa Ndani katika bajeti zao waweze kutenga pesa maalum ambazo zitashughulikia marupurupu ya wazee wa mitaa, kwa sababu hawa ndio watu ambao wanaeleza serikali ni jinsi gani zile tabu zinakumba wananchi kule mashinani. Sahihi kuna kiangazi Madam Speaker ambacho kinasumbua wananchi. Wazee wa mitaa na wazee wa nyumba kumi ndio wanatumika kutoa majina ya wale watu ambao wanateseka na ukame. Lakini hao wenyewe hata kile chakula kitolewa wakati wanagawanya, wao hawawezi kuwa katika orodha ya wale ambao pia wana shida ya njaa. Madam Speaker, ni jambo la kusikitisha kwa sababu hawa wazee wa mitaa wana familia zao, wana watoto ambao wanatakana kwenda shule, na hakuna msaada wote kutoka kwa serikali ambao wanayapata ili watoto wao waweze kwenda shule. Watoto wengi wa wazee wa mitaa na wazee wa nyumba kumi wameendelea kubaki nyumbani. Ile pesa pengine walikuwa wanategemea ni ule mfuko wa maendeleo bunge CDF, na kwa sasa bado haujapatikana. Kwa hivyo ni muhimu tuweze kuwatambua, na ningeomba wajumbe wenzangu, kwa sababu hawa wazee wa mitaa wametusaidia kwa njia moja na kuimarisha usalama katika maeneo yetu, tuweze kupitisha mswada huu na uweze kuwekwa katika katiba ili watambulike. Vile vile hawa wazee ni lazima watafutiwe hata kama ni nguo maalum ili waweze kutambulika kwamba hawa ndio, na katika zile nguo zao waweze kuwekwa majina yao ili wananchi waweze kuwatambua kwa rahisi, waweze kutoa huduma kwa wakazi. Mimi naunga mkono mswada huu na ningeomba tuupitishe kwa haraka ili serikali iweze kutenga pesa kwa haraka na iweze kuwasaidia hawa wazee wa mitaa na mabalozi wa nyumba kumi. Asante Madam Speaker kwa kunipatia nafasi hii.
Thank you, Honorable Katana. The Honorable Bishop Koskei.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I take the floor to support this motion of empowering the village elders, otherwise known like hermans and all that has been known for many years, because it is increasingly becoming important globally that governments should embrace citizens' participation and involvement in the decision-making processes in any country. In order to enhance efficacy in appreciation of regulations given in the interpretation of laws that affects people and even benefit them, grassroots leadership of our society is very important. When we got and achieved our independence, there was a slogan by our founding fathers who said, "Mwachamila ni mtumwa." These grassroots leaders becomes the custodians and protection of our norms, and therefore enhances values in our society. It is important for this august House to pay attention through this motion, not only to empower them as proposed by this motion today, but also develop policy framework that will strengthen them, because this will enhance a social order, security, and development efficacy in terms of priorities of government. Madam Speaker, I support this motion this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Bisau Kakai, member for Kiminini.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you for the timely also presentation of this particular motion, which is very, very crucial in terms of what we had also promised to the constituents during our campaigns. And I take this opportunity to really thank Mheshimiwa Mutuse for expediting to bring this particular important motion in the House. Now, Madam Speaker, the first point of contact in our backyard, in our constituencies, are these village elders. When a cow is stolen, when a boda is stolen, when there's domestic violence, there is a dead body found on the roadside, the first point of contact is these village elders. Today, Madam Speaker, even within the security apparatus, a minister for internal security sitting in Nairobi, a regional commissioner, a county commissioner, a district commissioner, and many other administrators. Without these villagers, they are living in space. These are the first point of contact. But what is happening now, they've completely been neglected. But I believe, Madam Speaker, that even on the current premise, where the current government has been formed in the belief of bottom-up, we believe that the security apparatus also, starting with these village elders, this motion is going to be supported by the current government. Now, an example, Madam Speaker, when are these issues reported? Domestic violence, maybe something has been stolen, even funerals, Madam Speaker. These are the first people who come to our site when there's a death announced in our constituencies. These are the people who stick with us in thick and thin when there are funerals, including organizing even to get firewood, to get water, and also to ensure there's security. But when all these things are happening, when they are making phone calls to the security apparatus, to the DCC, to the chief, they are making phone calls. Where do they get the airtime from? Some of them have to move at night. Maybe it's a rainy season. They need warm clothing, which they don't have, or which they've bought through their own funds. They need things like gumboots, an example. They need torches. Who buys these batteries for them? So, Madam Speaker, this is very, very important. Bringing in also the logistical component. How do they move from point A to point B? When they are being called, maybe they have to respond to some situation which is not correct. So, Madam Speaker, I want to support this motion, but even as I support this motion, I would like to request that this is taken seriously by the appropriate ministry in terms of establishing clear terms of reference. But this does not mean that when new terms of references are sort of put in place, we ignore those who are already in place. These terms of reference is just to also enable us to improve also in terms of also to ensure that we'll have the best village elders. An example, people skills, someone who's also respectable in society, a peacemaker, and one actually who appreciates diversity. Because like where I come from in Kiminini is like a small Kenya where we've got all the communities. And Madam Speaker, I would also like to point out that it's not just sufficient to give them a remuneration. We would like to see that they are also covered medically through NHIF, and also a clear pension fund is put in place so that also as they reach their retirement age or they decide to bow out of this arrangement, they also have something to fall back to in terms of a pension. I would also like to point out that because they also support the security apparatus, and there are situations where some of them, some people have masqueraded as those village elders, that we ensure also that they've got uniform in addition to the clothing or the gear that they need, like example, gumboots, etc., etc. And lastly, on mobility and for good coordination, the head of the village elders should also be able to be given that ability in form of, let's say, a motorcycle. And sooner or later, Madam Speaker, I'll also be bringing in a motion where I would like within the CDF, even if it's 1%, to try and also support this particular group. But for the time being, I would request that, or I would support this motion, and I believe that the current government, based on the belief of the bottoms up, they will come up and they will ensure that they support this motion so that we can quickly expedite to ensure that all our village elders who are our first focal points at the constituency level are also comfortable, and they can also help to improve the security. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I support the motion.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Members, I would like to recognize the following schools that have visited the National Assembly: Olashapani Primary School, Narok South, Narok County; Gondi Primary School, Naivasha, Nakuru County. Honorable members, I would like to give an opportunity to the Honorable Jane Kihara.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this chance. Before I support the motion on the floor, let me welcome Gondi Primary School pupils to this great house and wish them well. Madam Speaker, this motion is very, very important. We have seen these great leaders or elders suffer doing public work. Madam Speaker, like it's been said, this is the first point of call in the administration at the grassroots. In fact, these are the first set of hustlers that this government is committed to assist or to help. We know they do a lot of work. Madam Speaker, in matters culture, with the intermarriages, they are the ones who explain what happens to this culture and the other culture and put the families and the communities at ease. They have been asking us, wherever you go, Mheshimiwa, please let this government give us something. I'm surprised this motion was passed, before and it was not implemented. I think this is the first time that this is the right time for them to be remunerated in matters security. Before even the OCPD knows what has happened on the ground, these village elders are already in contact. They help their chiefs. Running the administration on the ground, Madam Speaker, is what they do. So let me not talk for a long time and just say this is the right time to remunerate these great Kenyans, or hustlers for that matter. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Badi Twalib, MP Jomvu.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Pia mimi nataka kuungana na wenzangu katika kuunga mkono hoja hii. Mheshimiwa Spika, wazee wa mitaa ni wazee ambao wanafanya kazi kubwa sana katika maeneo ya mitaa yetu. Na tukiangalia ni wazee ambao walifanya kazi miaka yote wakisaidia katika kudumisha amani na vile vile kutokea matatizo. Hao ndio watu wa kwanza ambao wanafuatwa. Tukiangalia Mheshimiwa Spika, kabla chief ama sub chief ama ACC ama DCC kujua linaloendelea pale nyanjani, ni muhimu sana anaangalia kuuliza mzee wa mtaa. Leo katika sehemu zetu nyingi sana wazee wa mitaa wanafanya kazi kubwa katika mambo ya usalama. Mfano kama sehemu yangu moja ya Kitui, ambapo Mheshimiwa Bwire mbunge wa Taveta ana makao yake hapo, utaona mzee wa mtaa anaitwa Mzee Gona, yeye ndo anayemwangalilia mambo yake pale hivi. Kwa hivyo leo hii mimi nataka kuzungumza nikiwa mjumbe wa Jomvu, kusema kuwa naunga mkono wazee hawa mitaa watambuliwe kama vile anavyotambulika chief, sub chief, ACC, DCC. Ni muhimu pia hiyo structure imtambue mzee wa mtaa katika sehemu zetu, na wazee wa mitaa hawa wanavyolipwa wengine ni muhimu na wao waweze kulipwa. Hawa wana familia, hawa wanasomesha watoto, hawa wanaishi katika hali duni ambapo hawana hali ya kuweza kujikimu katika kulipa nyumba. Lakini ikiweza kupitishwa katika serikali kwa hawa pia wakiweza kulipwa, basi wataweza kujisaidia katika maisha yao. Mheshimiwa Spika, si hao peke yao, nasema pia wahudumu wa afya ingeangaliwa vizuri sana kuwa pia wao wanafanya kazi kwa kujitolea bila malipo, ili wao pia waweze kuona kuwa wanaweza kusaidika. Mheshimiwa Spika, katika wazee wa mitaa kuna wazee ambao katika umri wao ni mkubwa, na siku hizi hata wengine ambao umri wao ni mdogo ni wazee wa mitaa wanasimamia. Kwa sisi tunawapamba tu kwa kuwapatia majina mabalozi, mara sijui majina gani, lakini majina hayataweza kusaidia. Pesa mfukoni ndizo ambazo zitaweza kusaidia wazee hawa wa mitaa ili kuona kuwa wanafanya kazi yao katika njia sawa. Mheshimiwa Spika, nachukua fursa hii hivi sasa pia kusema kuna zile pesa za wazee, ambao pesa hizi za wazee miaka ambayo imewekwa katika kuweza kuqualify kwa pesa hizi ni mingi sana. Kwa hivyo ni vizuri pia bunge hili tungeangalia, badala ya kuweka mzee miaka 65 ama sijui 70 huko ndio aweze kulipwa, ipunguzwe kwa miaka ya siku hizi. Shida zimekuwa nyingi, uzee kufika miaka 60 70 ni bahati kubwa sana hiyo kutoka wakati wa Yesu. Lakini shida nyingi ambazo ziko kwa wakati huu, wazee wanakufa miaka 55 ama vile vile kuendelea, wakifika sana wana bahati 60. Kwa hivyo hizi pesa za wazee zipunguzwe mpaka kufikia hata kama ni miaka 50 wao watakuwa wakiweza kupewa pesa hizi, na pesa hizi zije nyanjani kwenye constituencies, ambapo sisi ndo tunaweza kuona ni wazee gani ambao wako pale katika sehemu yetu. ili tuweze identify na kuona kuwa wanaweza kupata pesa zao. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi nachukua fursa hii kwanza kuwashukuru wazee wa mitaa wangu katika sehemu ya Jomvu sana, kwa sababu waliniunga mkono kunirudisha bunge hili kwa mara ya 3. Leo hii nasema kama yale niliyowaambia wakati nilipokuwa kwa kampeni, ni haya ambayo nazungumza hapa bunge, kuwa ni haki pia wao walipwe. Na mambo haya tukishaweza kuyapitisha, twamsihi Mheshimiwa Rais, Mheshimiwa William Samoei Ruto kutia saini hii kwa sheria kwa haraka na kuweka bajeti ya pesa zende mashinani haraka wazee hawa, ili wapate matumaini ya maisha yao. Kwa hivyo nachukua fursa hii kusema kuwa wazee wangu wote katika mitaa yote ya wodi ya Miritini, Mikindani na Jomvu Kuu, bunge hili limeangalia mambo ya mitaa ya wazee hawa ambao wanafanya kazi hizi, na tukiweza kupata pesa hizi za manufaa, hata wao pia wataweza kunufaika. Kwa hivyo kwa hayo, Mheshimiwa Spika, nashukuru kwa kunipa fursa hii. Wacha nishukue muda mwingi ili niweze kuwapatia wenzangu pia nafasi ya kuweza kuchangia, lakini vile vile nasema Mheshimiwa alileta hoja hii, nampongeza, ni hoja ya maana sana. Asante sana.
The Honorable Gathoni wa Mushomba, and the Honorable Gathoni wa Mushomba will be followed by the Honorable Rahim Dawood.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Allow me, Madam Speaker, to register that in as much as we are all willing to contribute, I really sympathize with the new members who have come into this House, because there seems to be a system that is not working very well in terms of prioritizing who is going to speak, because some of us have been here even before the Speaker walked into the House, logged in our cards, and have been waiting from 1:45 p.m. to now, and I can hear with the spirit in the House there must be a problem with the logging system. And therefore, because I would want my sisters and brothers who have joined this House to have the opportunity to defend and fight for the people who elected them, I would request that the management of the House look into that issue. Madam Speaker, I have been sitting here for those many hours because I wanted to give my contribution to the motion, recognizing and looking at the remuneration of the village elders, a motion that has been sponsored by Honorable Mwengi Mutuse. Honorable Member Mwengi Mutuse has done a wonderful job to present this motion. To my dissatisfaction and frustration, allow me to register that this motion is not new in this House. It was tabled in the 12th Parliament, it was debated, and nothing was done. It is sad that these village elders are our senior fathers, our senior citizens. They are our brothers and sisters, and they work tirelessly to give order in the villages. They are the people who report when there are thefts. They are the people who contain issues of domestic violence. They are the people who report accidents, fires, floods, and they are not recognized positively in terms of payment and facilitation. Madam Speaker, I do not know whether we are supposed to be lobbying the House to amend the National Government and Coordination Act of 2013, or we are going to be pushing for the amendment of National Social Protection Act. Because majority of these village elders are retired people. Some of them were public servants who deserve to be paid for the efforts they put in this country, in the building of this economy. And allow me to put that the National Social Protection Act has been very discriminative, because we have seen the unemployed youth getting absorbed and even being engaged for pay under the programs Kazi kwa Vijana. And if we can afford to pay vijana wetu, our young people, under the program Kazi kwa Vijana, we should be able to afford to pay our village elders. I do not want to say that the Kazi kwa Vijana did not give us any input in terms of good work, but
in equal measure, the village elders also do a lot of good work. So if we have been able to allocate money for kazi kwa vijana for a long time, we should also struggle and work hard to make sure that we allocate money through the Social Protection Act or through the National Government Coordination Act 2013 amendments so that we can accommodate these village elders. I am an elected member from Githunguri constituency in Kiambu County. And if there is a group of people who really assisted my campaigns, who also informed me on a few areas that I need to concentrate on as their leader, it is the village elders. If there are people that the government has used for the last 10 years in terms of maintaining order, it is the village elders. And it is sad that they have no uniform, they have no airtime allocation. Some of them go hungry the whole day as they work for the government, but they do not have any way of recognition. I think it is time now we come up with a legislative proposal that is going to become a law through the amendment of either the Social Assistance Programs Act or the National Government Coordination Act, so that this can become a law that is going to give the basis for the recognition of village units as administrative units in this country. I also want to congratulate and thank those village elders and all the people of Githunguri constituency for giving me the opportunity to serve them for the second term as their member of parliament. And I know through my efforts in bringing legislative proposal, my geriatric bill proposal 2022 that I have been able to communicate to the speaker is also going to look at the ways and means of making sure that the senior citizen and the elderly persons of this country have been given their dignified life and dignified lifestyle. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Gadoni. Honorable members, I am strictly following the schedule. Yes, I'm happy. So do not worry. Make sure that you have inserted your card, unless your card is not working. So the next person is the Honorable Rahim Dawood.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ningetaka kuunga hoja hii ya wazee wa mtaani ama wazee wa kijiji. Mheshimiwa Speaker, hawa wazee sio hasa wazee, ni hata ni vijana, ni wamama, wengine umri yao ni kidogo, wengine wako wazee kabisa, lakini umuhimu wao kwa kufanya hiyo kazi ni muhimu sana. Shauri hawa ndio hushika wale wako na changa ama wako na mambo zingine mahalifu za vijiji. So Mheshimiwa Speaker, kunaye wakati miaka 10 ama 15 uliopita nilikuwa karibu ninawatengenezea nguo za kuvaa ama mawazi vile wataweza kujulikana hawa ndio wazee wa kijiji, lakini niliambiwa kwamba hatutaweza kuwafanyia hivyo. Crown lazima ikuwe ni ya serikali, lakini hawa hufanya kazi zaidi kulikuwa chief ama wanaibu wa chief ama madio. Shauri hawa ndio huleta mambo zote zile zinaharibika kwa vijiji, na hawa ndio wafanya kazi zaidi kulikuwa mtu yoyote. Mheshimiwa Speaker, hawa wanaendanga wakitembea kwa vijiji wakitumia pesa zao kutoka usiku mpaka wafikishe wahalifu kwa polisi, waandikishe statement na mambo zingine nyingi. So hawa wanafaa, sio hii hoja imeletwa na Mheshimiwa Mutusi ni nzuri, lakini haitatusaidia. Shauri inasema kwamba inapendekeza kwa serikali iwapatie nafasi ya pesa na iwatambue, lakini Mheshimiwa Speaker, inafaa tutengeneze sheria bill. Shauri hii kusema ajiz haitoshi. Hiyo inamaanisha mambo kama serikali haitaichukua maanani kama ichukue vizuri kwamba wanafaa wafanyiwe. So Mheshimiwa Speaker, ninaomba kwamba tukiweza Mheshimiwa Mutusi kama akishamaliza hiyo hoja aijaribu kupeleka kwa ofisi ya clerk ndio tuweze kuibadilisha ikuwe sheria, ndio tuweze kufanya tuwasaidie. Mheshimiwa Spika, wakati wangu ni mingi nabaki, sasa ningependa umpatie Mheshimiwa Mgwen Honorable Lengemiti tafadhali. Ningeomba hivyo, lakini naonga hiyo hoja. Asante sana na Mungu abariki.
Order, Honorable Dawood, you know very well that you cannot do that. Honorable Member for Keses, the Honorable Julius Ruto.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity you've accorded me to also contribute to this very important motion on the support of recognition and remuneration of our village elders. Indeed, Madam Speaker, as the honorable members who have said, and I want to start by congratulating the honorable member who came with this motion, Honorable Mwenge Mutuse, because this is something that has come at a moment that we as Kenyans, we need to talk about ourselves in reality. And we need to discuss issues that are going to touch and impact on our lives. I want to throw back our attention to the recent or the just concluded or period of COVID-19. All of us, we understand that at the moment COVID-19 was declared to have been in Kenya, everybody, every person went into shock. The people who were there to support the government are none other than the village elders. And up to date, they sacrificed their lives. They were on the front line, including the health workers. Of course, the health workers were compensated by virtue of them being employees at the same time. But for them, they gave their lives. Some of them ended up losing their lives because of exposing their livelihoods in addressing or in supporting the society. It is on this merit that, Madam Speaker, we have to be candid in our discussion. I want to appreciate the fact that families form a unit of a nation. And the people who help put us family together back in our society are none other than the village elders. I want us to virtually take our minds or visualize the same persons. When a farmer wakes up in the morning, when a teacher wakes up in the morning, when a member of parliament wakes up in the morning to attend into his or duties, this person wakes up to address the small issues that touches on our village. And as we know, small things begets the big things. At that basic level, where they're able to meddle on the issues, where they're able to address the issues, where they're able to put up the people in dispute together, sort out the small challenges, until, as a nation, we realize our desired peace and cohesion. We have to appreciate that these people are very crucial in our society. They are the persons, we always call them, where the rubber meets the tarmac. It is at that level that even the government is able to execute its programs down to the people. You cannot tell me today that sub-chief would require the support of the village elder. I was a county executive committee member for finance, and at most of the time, all our programs, for it to succeed, we had to engage the village elders. What am I trying to say? It is a moment that we need to recognize their service, we need to appreciate, and the best way to appreciate, and I want to appreciate the member who came up with the motion, that we need to legislate. Because I'm sure the CS for Treasury, however we discuss and approve this motion, CS for Treasury will not factor in resources sufficient enough. And nobody should come and tell us today that there is no money to pay them. The opposite is real. That even the much they are contributing, if at all we have to tabulate, if at all we have to value the contribution they make to society, this government, Kenya, will not be able to compensate on that. So it's time we need to consider them, even if we have to pay them at start as stipend, recognize them by providing essential services like health care, paying for them their NHIF, paying their NSSF, paying for their commuter allowance, and even the basic that they need to support their households. With that one, we will have grown to a step. And it is in the spirit of this constitution that is trying to focus on building up a nation that is of cohesive and of unity and peace. Madam Speaker, as I say to conclude, I want to also consider the fact that we also have a society called the elderly people, where as a matter of practice for quite some time, the elderly people who are receiving the cash transfers, as I talk to you now, that one is a matter what it's the best way to describe it as hot hair. They know they have a right to access it, but indeed it is not in practice. I want to consider this as we discuss this motion, that we blow upon the ministry or the cabinet secretary for national coordination to ensure we also actualize it one, so that we have a society that is certain and satisfied with the country they belong in. With that, Madam Speaker, I want to support this, and I want to tell you that we have these serious people in my village, those who assisted me, Madam Sally from my village back there. She's an elderly lady. She has done a lot, even during the time of campaign. Kesesi is a cosmopolitan area. You believe me, it was difficult to manage to put the communities together. But these people played a pivotal role by bringing the communities together until we were able to forge a clear direction as a people of Kesesi, which I want to applaud and say, if we are going to go that direction, we will realize a Kenya that is unified. Thank you so much, and I stand to support the motion. Thank you.
Very well spoken. The Honorable Member for Tetu, Geoffrey Mwangi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to also add my voice to this very, very important motion. And it is important that, Madam Speaker, from the onset, I mentioned that every time I visit my constituency, I have met these village elders, and that this is a very, very common cry across, that they have been saying that they are doing a lot of work for the community and for the government, and they do not get any remuneration for it. So I support the motion, but I would like to restrict myself to two areas. One is to try and add my voice to giving these village elders what I would call a job description, because it is very, very important, Madam Speaker, that we bring some sort of structure to this very, very important motion. And I hope that my contribution can give the Honorable Member for Kibwezi, who brought this motion, some builds in terms of how he can actualize this motion into a bill that then can become a law in this country. But before I say that, let me admit that the village elders, in terms of their job description, I would give them the first one as being security. They play a very, very important role in terms of ensuring the security of the community. And the second one is that they also play a very big role in reconciliation. Today, if spouses disagree, sometimes even before they go to the chief, they go to the village elders. If a man is chased away by his wife, he reports to the village elders. Even when the opposite happens, they tend to report to the village elders. If you look right now, the country is facing some bit of, quite some bit of famine and drought. And the people who can aid in things like food distribution, identifying the needy families, knowing where government help should go without corruption, without misuse, are the village elders. When it comes to things like bursary allocation, which sometimes as members of parliament, we struggle with to identify and get to know the most deserving cases, again, the village elders play a very big role.
Order, Honorable Member. Honorable Members, the motion has been debated for 3 hours, so time is up for this debate. And now, I can give you
1 minute,
2 minutes.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'll give you 2 minutes,
Thank you.
Honorable Member.
Thank you. I was saying that they also attend to incidents, and they are actually the village chairman for weddings, burials, and any event that is coming. So, Madam Speaker, like I said, to give this structure, I propose that this whole village elder remuneration can be structured as follows. First of all, we need to agree. Will it be at the sub-location level, at the location level, or the village level, so that we give it structure. The next thing we should agree, how many households should each elder be in charge of? Thirdly, ensure that the 2/3 gender rule is adhered to very, very strictly when it comes to these village elders. Then ensure that we give them a reasonable stipend, including things like airtime, because I sympathize with them. They call us all the time at night, reporting cases, telling us where we should help. So it is very, very important that they are given a reasonable stipend and airtime. So I support that this motion proceeds, and because we have had in this House that this actually came up before and never became an act, so it is joining the many motions that never actually get implemented. So we are really hoping that this can be treated differently, because this is very, very important to ensure that village elders become institutionalized in terms of our government administrative units, within our sublocation. I submit and support the motion. Madam Speaker, thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Tetu. Honorable members, this motion has been debated for 3 hours and time is up. And now I call upon the mover to reply, the Honorable Mwengi Mutuse.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have been informed that I am not able to donate time, much as a lot of our colleagues had anticipated donation of time so that they can contribute. But I have been directed that it is not possible to donate time. But if it was possible, the Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, the Honorable Engineer Nzambia, and the Honorable Malolo Injendi, the Honorable Basil Robert, and PC Sigei, the member for Sotik, would have wished to, but I am guided that we are not able, I am guided that we are not able to donate. And so, Mr. Speaker,
Honorable Mwengi Mutuse, you can donate.
Oh, with your guidance, Madam Chair, the
Honorable Mwengi, I request that you take me through the order again.
Yes, with your
of the
guidance.
people that you have indicated, the honorable members that you have indicated.
Yes. The honorable.
And the time you are allocating them.
1 minute to each.
1 minute each.
The Honorable Engineer Nzambia, member for Kilome. The Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, 1.5, because he's the chair of, or rather, let me not preempt. The Honorable Basil Robert, Malolo Injendi, and the Honorable Beatrice, now that Malolo Injendi is not there. 1 minute. I have 10, so I've donated 5.
So 1 minute for the honorable members, 1 each.
Madam Speaker, if you allow, the Honorable Getari 1 minute. And Honorable Njoroge Wainaina 1 minute.
So honorable members will follow the order. And the first person who has been donated a minute is the Honorable Zambia, member for Kilome, followed by the Honorable Ndindi Nyoro, followed by the Honorable Malulu Ijendi, followed by the Honorable Beatrice, Honorable Gitari, and the Honorable Njoroge Wainaina, in that order.
Madam Speaker, I don't know whether I'm in order. The Honorable Kombe Mzee, and with a lot of respect to him because he's one of the oldest members in this House, if you allow, Madam Speaker.
So we start with the Honorable Zambia. You have donated your 8 minutes. You'll have only 2 minutes for yourself. Proceed, Honorable Zambia. Please give the Honorable Zambia the mic.
Oh, thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity. I rise to support this motion. And let me note that this is not the first time we are debating on this motion.
in the 12th Parliament, we discussed, we debated on it. So it's my sincere hope that this 13th Parliament will move with speed and implement this motion so that we can benefit the village elders. I think most of the members have really expressed their concern about our village elders. You know, they play a very crucial role in our villages, in our community. Honorable Speaker, in terms of security, in the matters of security, in every village, we are fully covered by the village elders because they convey a lot of information from the grassroots level to even to the national level. That is through the assistant chiefs.
The Honorable Dindi Nyoro.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And I start by congratulating my brother, Honorable Mutuse, for this motion. Second, Madam Speaker, is that our village elders, whichever name we give them from Yubakumi, they play a very critical role insofar as governance is concerned. And therefore, Madam Speaker, we should be able to appropriate something small for their stipend, and especially to be able to make phone calls in terms of credit and in terms of transport when they are going for various meetings, even to meet GAO officials, Madam Speaker. Also, we should invest a lot in terms of capacity building so that they are able to know how efficiently they can be able to assist in terms of the governance and the state structure so that it is also effective. Madam Speaker, also, they play a very critical role in terms of security and other facets of our economy and country, Madam Speaker, and therefore should also be recognized when we are giving state accommodations so that it comes in as a...
The Honorable Malulu Ijendi. Honorable absent. The Honorable Beatrice.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to support the motion by saying that the village managers, and I'm a product of one of them. My father was a village manager. My father-in-law was also a village manager. First, I want to say that they deserve recognition as they are among the few civil servants, Madam Speaker, whose input is reflected, or who have inputs who are reflected in all the three arms of government. For example, in the executive, Madam Speaker, they carry the roles of disseminating information from the government about education, about health, issues of health, environmental conservation, and all that. I would also say that, Madam Speaker, that the village manager...
My brother, that this motion is not appearing in this house for the first time. It was there even in the 11th Parliament, but it did not go anywhere. But I'm happy because I'll be praying for Dindi Nyoro to become the chairman of budget, and he is here. I think we can now push it to another level. Noting that the government we have is bottom up. Madam Speaker, I also want to thank all members who took their oath today, and because we know that the government will start working, we also want to thank the selection committee for formulating the committees they did. So from next week, we'll start working in the committees. I thank you.
The Honorable Njoroge Wainaina.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm sure this one also, I'll get the benefit of having the maiden speech. I've not had one. I first of all thank Honorable Mutuse for seeing me and noticing my presence, where speakers have not been able to catch any eye of the speaker, inclusive you. In any case, and for that benefit, I would want to first of all thank the people of Kenya who came out in thousands. They supported me and they voted for me. And I really want to tell them I am with them. I'm in this parliament, I'm with them during this time of famine, great famine in Kenya. I am with them. We are looking for food in every way possible. I am with our candidates in class 6, class 8, and Form 4. I'm with them. I know they are going through hard times, going to school without food, but we are still working on that. However, on matters of this debate that is in front of us today,
only 1 minute had been donated to you by the Honorable Mutuse, but I can see that you had put your card for the next motion, so you can participate in the next motion. So the Honorable Basil.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I thank you, my brother Mutuse, for bringing these motions, a very essential motion. And what I would say, village elders play a very silent role because in terms of intelligence, they provide intelligence to the government. They need to be paid because without them, the function of the DC, sub-chiefs, and the chiefs would be actually rendered vestigial. So these are very critical motions, and I fully support them, and I actually promised them during my campaigns. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Kombe.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika, asante Mheshimiwa wa Kibwezi Magharibi kwa kunipatia nafasi katika muda wako wa kujibu mswada huu. Nichukue tu moja kwa moja niseme umekuja kwa wakati unaofaa, na pia vile vile niseme si mara ya kwanza. Katika bunge la 9 tulipasisha mswada huu, katika bunge la 11 tukapasisha mswada huu, na ni maombi yangu katika kipindi hiki mswada huu ukaweze kutiliwa maanani na serikali hii yetu mpya, nikitumai ya kwamba ikiwa itawezekana pia katika ule mfuko wa wachochole ama wa hustlers pia wangeweza kufikiriwa na wakapatiwa sehemu ya mfuko huo, wakaweza kupata hata kama ni pikipiki za kuwawezesha kufanya kazi yao vizuri, hasa tukizingatia wale senior village elders. Kule kwangu kuna mzee Magogo ambaye anafanya kazi nzuri sana katika sehemu ile ya location ya Magarini, na pia vile vile ni wengi ambao wanafanya kazi nzuri, na hata ikifika wakati wa kugawa chakula wao ndio huwa kipaumbele kutujuza ni wapi kunahitajika msaada. Asante Mheshimiwa Speaker.
Now the Honorable Mwengi Mutuse.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I now rise to reply to the motion and to begin by thanking honorable members for the great interest that they have had in this motion and for the great contributions that have gone into this motion since yesterday. Madam Speaker, be expedited in terms of execution. Madam Speaker, you also notice that members have improved the motion in great deal. Members have given their contributions in terms of what it is that the village elders are supposed to be doing, the job description. We also notice the caution that we must not use them politically. And therefore, Madam Speaker, I urge the House to now, with the resolution and with the tremendous support the motion has received, to also move to ensure that it is enforced and our village elders begin to receive remuneration, even as I bring the amendment to the law. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I reply.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mutuse, member for Kibwezi West. I see that we have an intervention by the member for Mutembei, the Honorable Dr. Pukose.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I know this is a very important motion that has been replied, and I'm standing under Standing Order 53.3 that the Speaker may, on the request of a member, defer the putting of the question to the next sitting, in which case the Speaker shall thereupon nominate a time at which the question shall be put. Honorable Speaker, when you look at the House, we do not have a quorum to allow you to be able to put the question. So I'm standing under this, that this is a very important motion, that you can defer the putting of the question to the next sitting when we have, that you will be able to decide when we'll have the quorum. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Bukose, your request is acceded to. I therefore direct that the question on the motion to be put during the next sitting of the House. Next order.
Order number 11. Hoja: kubuniwa kwa Baraza la Kiswahili la Kenya.
The Honorable Yusuf Hassan. Honorable Yusuf Hassan is absent. Is Honorable Yusuf Hassan. So in the absence of the Honorable Yusuf, honorable members, there be no other business, and the time being 5 minutes past 5 p.m. This House stands adjourned until Tuesday, 1st of November 2022, 2:30 p.m.